In almost all cultures, the story of Adam and Eve is told as the origin of all human suffering, a story of disobedience, original sin, and expulsion from paradise, which burdened us with the curse of hard work, pain, and mortality. It is a tale that taught us to fear knowledge and to obey blindly. But what if the story we know is just the surface of a much deeper truth? What if the fall was not a tragedy, but the crucial moment when human consciousness was born? Behind the religious narrative, the myth of Adam and Eve hides a profound secret about the nature of duality and freedom, a key to understanding who we are and why we are here. What did the serpent truly represent, and what did disobedience give us that is most valuable? To unravel this mystery, we need to free ourselves from the literal interpretation and delve into an esoteric and Gnostic view of the story. The Gnostic tradition, which flourished in the first centuries of the Christian era, offered a radical reinterpretation of Genesis. For the Gnostics, the creator of the Garden of Eden was not the supreme god, but the demiurge, an imperfect and jealous being, who created the material world and out of ignorance, believed himself to be the only god. He wanted to keep his creatures in a state of innocence and submission. The Garden of Eden, in this view, was not a paradise, but a kind of spiritual prison, where humanity existed in a state of perfect but unconscious unity with the Creator. The figure of the serpent, which in the Christian tradition is seen as the embodiment of evil, is reinterpreted by the Gnostics as a hero, an emissary of a higher deity, the true source of wisdom. The serpent, which is a universal symbol of knowledge, transformation, and regeneration in many ancient cultures, offered Adam and Eve the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. By eating it, they did not sin, but awakened to consciousness. The forbidden fruit was the key to gnosis, the knowledge that would free them from the ignorance imposed by the demiurge. The act of sinning was, in fact, an act of awakening, of becoming conscious of their own duality, of their ability to discern between good and evil, and of their own individuality. The depth of the story of Adam and Eve lies in its explanation for the birth of human consciousness. Before eating the fruit, they existed in a state of undifferentiated unity, like animals that live in the present, without the ability to reflect on the past or plan the future. They had no self-awareness. The bite of the apple, the act of gaining knowledge, was the moment when self-consciousness was born. They perceived their nakedness, the duality of body and spirit, of life and death. This is the secret behind the myth. Original sin is, in fact, the birth of consciousness. It is the moment when humanity ceased to be an obedient creation and became a conscious and free being. This is the key to understanding freedom in its purest form. Freedom does not exist without duality. To be truly free, you need to have the ability to choose between two or more options. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve did not have this choice. They could obey or disobey, but they did not know the meaning of their actions. The forbidden fruit gave them the knowledge of good and evil, and with it, the responsibility and freedom to choose their own path. The punishment of working the land and giving birth in pain is not a curse, but a description of life in the material world. Life in the material world is a field of learning, where we can use our freedom to create, to manifest, and to evolve. The myth of Adam and Eve is not the story of our fall, but the story of our ascent to consciousness. Imagine yourself in a vast ocean, and your heart is a pearl at the bottom of the sea. Most people put on heavy diving gear and try to fight against the water, trying to force their way to the bottom. The smile is the ability to simply lie on the surface of the water, in complete surrender, and allow the invisible currents of the universe to carry you directly to the pearl. Like a mirror that reveals what we avoid seeing, our present reality is a direct reflection of our resistance to surrender. This conception is intrinsically connected to various spiritual and philosophical traditions. In the philosophy of Emerson and American transcendentalism, the idea of self-reliance is not an act of arrogance, but an act of trust in one's connection with the universal mind and, consequently, a surrender to this greater force. The protection of a marriage is the practical application of these principles, using the mind to align personal vibration and attract peace. What does this teach us about the inner universe we carry? The practical application of this wisdom in the modern world is profoundly transformative. This isn't about a simple change of thought, but a deep re-engineering of the self that allows us to change frequency and, thus, reality. This involves a process of detaching from the old identity of I need to fight, and the adoption of a new identity of I am worthy of receiving. The key is total surrender. The technique is to visualize what you want, feel the emotion as if it were already real, and then, with a sigh of relief, Completely release the desire, as if it were a balloon you release into the sky. Think of it like a painter who, instead of fighting with the canvas, simply allows their hand to move and the art to manifest through them. The phrase "the fall of Adam and Eve" is the act of being the channel of your own reality. The external world, the canvas, simply reacts to your internal surrender. The resistance comes from the fear of letting go of control, of believing that manifestation must be a struggle. The law of reverse effort is the act of surrender, of yielding to your own divinity as the only reality. Just like a flame that never goes out, even in the darkness of the unconscious, the power of your intention is always active, waiting to be directed toward a new frequency. Another crucial aspect of the fall of Adam and Eve is the importance of acceptance and gratitude. The law of reverse effort does not mean you should become passive or lazy. It means you should act from a place of inspiration, joy, and gratitude, rather than a place of effort and desperation. Gratitude is the magnetism that attracts more things to you. When you are grateful for what you already have, you emit a vibration of fullness. The universe, which is a mirror, simply reflects that fullness back to you. If you only think about what you want, but continue to feel lack, fear, or scarcity, your energy continues to emit the frequency of scarcity. The law of reverse effort allows you to change that emotion in minutes. Through surrender and acceptance. Picture this. You are on a dark stage, and in front of you, a spotlight illuminates the ideal version of your future. This future is not a distant place, it is a vibrational frequency, a possibility that already exists in the quantum field. Your desire to have that future is your map, but your surrender is the vehicle that takes you there. By focusing your attention and intention, and by using feeling to occupy the state of being associated with that future, you are not just hoping for it, you are magnetizing it into your experience, like a powerful magnet. This is why, with the right surrender, manifestation can be almost instantaneous. This makes us reflect on how modern science is beginning to converge with ancient esoteric wisdom. Neuroscience, with its concepts of flow state, suggests that our best performance happens when we are so immersed in an activity that the sense of effort and time dissolves. The law of reverse effort is the conscious application of this principle. It is the search for the flow state in life, where things happen without conscious effort. Quantum physics, with its concepts of superposition and entanglement, suggests that particles and, by extension, reality exist in multiple states simultaneously, until observed. The act of surrender is the very observation that collapses one of these infinite possibilities into a manifest reality, without the resistance of effort. But how exactly does all this connect to the fall of Adam and Eve? Manifestation becomes everything because it does not follow the logical rules of the material world. It happens in the realm of trust and surrender. The acceleration comes from the ability to skip steps, not having to travel the linear path of thought-feeling action that takes weeks or months. Instead, you go directly to the point of power, the state of being where the desire is already fulfilled, and you trust that it will come to you. Surrender is the fastest and most effective tool to enter this state. The effort required, in this context, is not a struggle against circumstances, but an effort of presence and control of your energy, to maintain the feeling of your future in the present, regardless of external evidence. The power is in you. The act of smiling is your switch. The true mastery of the fall of Adam and Eve lies in living from the frequency of your new reality. When you become the person who already lives this new reality, the actions that arise are inspired, not forced. Opportunities materialize. The right people appear. Doors open with surprising ease. It's as if the universe is conspiring in your favor, because you have become a perfect vibrational match for what you desire to experience. The transformation accelerates because you are already operating from the end of the process. To recap, the concepts we've explored, the fall of Adam and Eve is not a story of sin, but a profound myth about the birth of duality and freedom. The serpent is not evil, but the personification of Gnosis, the wisdom that freed us from blind innocence and gave us the consciousness of our individuality. By letting go of control and trusting that your external reality is an exact reflection of your internal assumptions, you allow the universe to collapse one of the infinite possibilities of the quantum field into a manifest reality. This view, which intertwines with the ancient wisdom of Gnosticism and the archetypal myth, is validated by discoveries in neuroscience and quantum physics, which suggest that our consciousness shapes reality. Connecting all these dots reveals a transformative vision. We are not passive observers of life, but active co-creators of our own existence. with the power to use our surrender to manifest profound and rapid changes. This knowledge can drastically alter the perception of reality and the self, for it grants us the power to transcend linear time and manifest what we desire with surprising simplicity. The journey is continuous, and every step, every conscious surrender, brings you closer to self-mastery and the ability to accelerate your own manifestation. The seeker's journey is like an ancient scroll that unfolds with each discovery, revealing deeper layers of wisdom and power. Every revelation is a candle lit in the temple of the mind, illuminating the dark corners of ignorance and fear. The secret of the fall of Adam and Eve is not an empty promise of ease, but an invitation to a profound journey of self-discovery and self-transformation. It is a path that demands discipline, intention, and, above all, the courage to transcend the limits imposed by the rational mind and past conditioning. It is the art of living from the reality you wish to manifest, anchored in the present, feeling the fullness and reality of that future as if it were tangible. It's not about denying your current reality, but about becoming so coherent with the new reality that the old one simply loses its resonance and dissolves. Life then becomes a fluid dance of accelerated co-creation, where synchronicities multiply and effort gives way to inspiration, joy, and instantaneous manifestation. Thank you for your curiosity and courage to explore these untrodden paths, for delving into the depths of consciousness and questioning the premises of your reality. The journey is continuous, and every step, every conscious surrender, brings you closer to self-mastery and the ability to accelerate your own manifestation. You ready to rewrite your own story? Remember, every end is just the beginning of a new journey of consciousness.